Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Gems with Josh. I'm your host, Josh. And yeah, man, already here. EP.11. Hey, man, we're going to call this week bye because, guys, majority of NFL players are on bye this week. A lot of studs. Me personally, on my teams, I have a lot of Jacksonville Jaguar players, as well as Seahawks and Cardinals players. Just about everybody is on a bye this week. So if you're out there, man, you really got to go look on your waiver wire, find who you can find, and really find those matchups that can maybe help you get through this week into the next week with the W in your leagues. And I'm going to give you guys some advice this week on how you can do that, all right? So let's not even, be long-winded. Let's get straight to running backs this week. One of the guys I like this week, man, is Woody Marks, running back from the Houston Texans, going against the 49ers, and simply because of volume, okay? Guy's been pretty much the number one back this entire season. The thing I like about Woody a lot is he gets a lot of catches out of the backfield. I think going against the 49ers this week with so many people on the bye, I think Woody Marks is a safe running back 2 for you this week. If you got Woody Marks, definitely go ahead and lock him in, okay? One of the guys who we thought, at the beginning of the season would be an absolute stud, who's kind of been a dud this season, Chase Brown. I like him this week, though. He had a really, really good game last Thursday against the Steelers. This week, they're going against the Jets, who are not very good at all. I think he'll get a lot of run in that offense. And, I'm not going to say he's quite all the way back, but he's definitely still a guy I will buy low on right now and see what you get for the rest of the season. Chase looked really good last week. This week going against the Jets, go ahead and lock Chase Brown in there. And last but not least for running backs this week, man, the entire Broncos backfield going against my Dallas Cowboys. First of all, Dallas is on the road. They really struggle on the road. They're a much better team at home. And the Broncos really, really, really like to run the ball. And at times, the Cowboys struggle. Hence, 2 weeks ago when they played Carolina, Enrico Dowdell had damn near 200 yards rushing. All right, so this week I really like J.K. Dobbins, but I also like R.J. Harvey in that offense as well. If you got either one of those guys, feel safe starting them this week with so many people out on buys. All right, let's go ahead and move over to wide receiver for this week. And Wan'Dale Robinson from the New York Giants going against Philly. I've been telling y'all the last few weeks, Philly is having a lot of issues with cornerback 2. They don't have anybody really to follow these guys besides Quinyon. Quinyon is usually guarding the best player on the other team. So, again, in his last 2 games, Wan'Dale Robinson has 12 catches for over 175 yards and a touchdown. Oh, yeah, by the way, in one of those games, it was against the Eagles. Going against the Eagles again this week, I like Wan'Dale Robinson a lot. Feel like he's a safe bet, locking him into your lineup this week going against the Eagles. All right, new guy we've never talked about in the pod this week. Again, a lot of people off on bye, so we got to figure out how we're going to get this thing done. So, hey, Chimery, I believe it's DK. Wide receiver from the Tennessee Titans, all right? One thing I like about the guy a lot is, man, he has some upside, right? And the one thing I love about him, he has a lot of big play potential. He's looking like Cam Ward's number 1 lately. Last week against the Patriots, he had a big play for his first NFL touchdown. I think if you got him this week, you might have to lock him in, all right? Again, a lot of guys on buys. We got to be creative. But I like his big play upside this week, so he is not a bad option for you guys to lock in. And last but not least for wide receivers this week, all right? We got the Chiefs wide receivers going against Washington. Washington Commanders secondary is struggling. If you saw last week, the Cowboys absolutely shredded them. CD came back with his first game, dominated, as well as George Pickens. Of course, you're going to have Rashee Rice, who's going to be the guy who's really going to be eating in that Chiefs offense. But, hey, I really like Hollywood Brown this week as well. And the last 2 weeks, Hollywood Brown has 3 touchdowns. He's finding his groove in that offense, and I think it's going to get even easier for him with Rashee out there. He's going to get a lot of one-on-one targets inside of the red zone, just like he did last week. So if you got Hollywood Brown, if you need to pick him up this week and start him, he would be a safe guy to put in your flex or wide receiver 2 for this week with so many people on a bye. All right, let's move over to our tight ends for the week. Oronde Gadsden, right? I'm a Florida boy myself. I remember his pops playing for the Dolphins back in the day, but this young pup looks like a stud, all right? You got him going against Minnesota this week on Thursday Night Football. And, he's had 14 catches in his last 2 games. Last week, he went absolutely bananas. I think that continues this week going against Minnesota. Justin Herbert's really been having to throw the ball a lot in that offense. They haven't been able to run the ball as well since Amari Hampton's been out. Short week. I think Rondé Gasson is a safe bet to put in at tight end again this week. Another guy like this week, Noah Fant going against the Dolphins, all right? His last 2 games, he's had 8 catches and a touchdown, okay? Looks like Flacco's really going to be looking for him in that offense as well. Always been a pretty good tight end, pretty fast guy. But you also got Mike Gesicki. He's out now, so it looks like Fant is going to get most of that run in the Bengals offense. Going against the Dolphins this week, who are absolutely struggling. I like Noah Fant. And last but not least, the tight end this week, Cade Otton going against the New Orleans Saints. Okay, Cade has had 16 catches in his last 3 games. Cade has really ramped it up with injuries on that wide receiver core of the Buccaneers. And we just found out this week that Mike Evans is probably going to be out the rest of the season. So I believe Cade's probably going to get a lot more catches and a lot more run in that offense. Baker's really been looking for him. If you can pick up Cade Otton this week, definitely might want to start him. All right. And let's finish off with our quarterbacks for this week, right? Saying these names, I feel like I'm taking it back almost 10 years ago. But, hey, the first guy I like this week, man, I like Carson Wentz going against the Chargers. Chargers have really struggled in the secondary this season, especially the last few weeks. Wentz got some good weapons Thursday night. Kevin O'Connell's probably going to dial it up for Wentz. I think it's going to be a nice streamer guy that you can put in for quarterback this week with so many people on a bye. And last but not least, man, that boy, Joe Flacco, going against the New York Jets this week. Again, a lot of people on buys. Well, last week, Flacco showed us, man, he's really, really going to get that ball to Jamar Chase, and he's going to get that ball to T. Higgins. Flacco looks good in that offense. I think it's a safe bet going against the Jets this week. Jets have really, really been struggling. If you need a quarterback to stream this week, take it back 10 years, Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco, all right? So, Thursday Night Football this week, man. You got the Los Angeles Chargers going against the Minnesota Vikings, all right? Thursday nights, like I said in the last EP, are always tricky, but I got a few guys that I think, you can put into a lineup this week that might help you win a little bit of cash. Again, we're betting on Underdog. Shout out to Underdog. If you sign up on Underdog, use our code JEMS with Josh. That's JEMS with Josh. You will get a promo code on there. And, yeah, we'll greatly appreciate you guys if you go on Underdog and sign up and start betting this week. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it. When you sign up, you're going to get a promo code this week. And one of those promo codes is for Justin Herbert, right? Zeros, right? Anything Justin Herbert does this week, you're going to get some points for that. So definitely lock Justin Herbert into that with that promo code. All right, next we're going to move over to my boy, Justin Jefferson. 69.5 receiving yards this week. I'm going up on that one. Again, I think that the Chargers secondary has been struggling a lot, so I definitely think Jay Jettas will have a good week this Thursday. 69.5 receiving yards. Definitely up on that. On the other side, for the Chargers, you got Lad McConkey. They have him at 54.5 receiving yards this week. I'm going to go up on that one. Again, Justin Herbert's had to throw the ball a lot more in that offense. He's been throwing it to Lad, Keenan Allen, as well as Quentin Johnson and Gadsden. I really like Lad going over 54.5 receiving yards this week. Justin Herbert again on that pick right there. They have him at 1.5 touchdown passes this week. I'm going to go up on that one again. Been struggling a little bit running the ball since Amarian Hampton been out. I think to stay in that game, Justin Herbert's going to have to throw a lot. I like him going over 1.5 touchdown passes this week. All right, let's finish up with our last two. Rondé Gasson, guy we talked about, maybe picking up and starting this week, right? They have him at 38.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go up on that one. Justin Herbert's really been looking for him in that offense. And to be honest, the guy's very talented. He's almost like a wide receiver playing tight end. He's just a little bit slower. But he's a good bet, 38.5 receiving yards this week. I like that a lot. And last but not least, man, Will Reichert, kicker from the Minnesota Vikings. They have him at 1.5 field goals this week. Going to go up on that one. I won't say the Vikings have been playing conservative, but with them having Carson Wentz in the offense, they've definitely gotten into positions. And when they get into position, if they can't score, they definitely will kick the field goal. So I like Will getting over 1.5 field goals this week. Again, these bets are on Underdog. Go on there, sign up on our promo code JEMS with Josh. That's JEMS with Josh. And yeah, we greatly appreciate you guys on that. Again, this week, don't panic too much, right? A lot of people on buys. You got to get creative. This is the kind of week that separates the men from the boys. You got to be very strategic in what you're doing and really looking at your waiver wire starting tomorrow morning. Picking up guys, and you got to really, really look at lineups and be maybe touchdown heavy this week, right? A guy who, His projection may not be that high because he doesn't get as many carries or catches and things like that, but you know has a good chance of getting in the end zone. You definitely want to go after those guys this week to fill them in your lineup with so many people on buys. All right. So yeah, EP11, man. I appreciate everybody showing love and support. If you can, make sure you follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Gems with Josh. Appreciate you guys. Again, we'll be locking in this Sunday, putting in our picks on Underdog, as well as giving fantasy football advice. So definitely lock in with us on TikTok this week. Hey, I really appreciate all the love and support. Gems with Josh, EP11, gone. And shout out to Savannah State University, man. It's homecoming this week, man. Shout out to all the Tigers out there, man. We're going to get a dub. We're going to have a good time. And more than anything, we're going to be safe. Shout out to the HBCUs across America. Gems with Josh, we gone.